In the years since the Wolverine Worldwide PFAS crisis started in northern Kent County, the likely carcinogen has been found in hundreds of wells and in the blood of some residents.
It's led to 100 lawsuits alleging cancer, miscarriages, even 3 deaths. But 200 miles away, the state's very first PFAS scare is something you can now actually see. PFAS foam rolling up onto beaches.
Target 8 investigator Ken Kolker and photojournalist Bilal Kirti traveled to Oscoda to see what West Michigan can learn from our state's first known PFAS site.
Brian Sue, the state found PFAS at the former Wurtsmith Air Force Base in 2010. It came from foam that firefighters used to put out jet fuel fires. 8 years later, they still don't know how far it has spread, and residents like those here in Kent County are frustrated.
The latest mystery, the foam.
You can see it floating down the creek here.
So that's PFAS.
Yep.
First discovered last summer on a lake across the street from the old air base in Oscoda, an area that relies on tourism, swimming, boating, fishing.
This is what we see on the lake when it's windy. You'll see these little bubbles, and they kind of coalesce into, I'll call them pads of foam, kind of what you see going downstream here. And when they hit shore, they start accumulating and piling up.
Up to a foot deep, he says, till it tumbles in the wind onto the beach. Ripe with PFAS, potentially dangerous levels.
If this white sticky foam is there and your child jumps into it, do you want that child in that water?
The state and EPA are studying if PFAS foam is safe to swim in.
We don't know of the magic bullet on how you address that foam. And this foam issue's starting to turn up at other places that, just nobody was aware of it.
In Kent County, the PFAS came from Scotchgard used by Wolverine to treat shoes. The shoemaker dumped its sludge with PFAS in landfills and on farm fields decades ago. In Oscoda, this goes back to the 1970s when air-based firefighters started using PFAS-laced foam to put out fuel fires. They trained with it, used it to put out flames after an Air Force tanker plane crashed at the base, killing 6 in 1988. Used it in the 80s to help locals put out a forest fire off the base. Wurtsmith, closed 25 years ago, is now an industrial park and private airfield. In 2010, the DEQ tested the base and found PFAS. 2 years later, the state found off-the-charts levels in fish from a nearby marsh, leading to warnings.
You're not supposed to eat even one of those fish. So what it does is it magnifies up in the fish.
Then 2 years ago, tests found PFAS in wells of nearby homes, mostly at low levels. It's not nearly as bad or as widespread as the PFAS in Kent County wells, in Plainfield and Algoma townships.
Every site is so different. One of the things in Rockford is we have a very large population in a very very dense area, but people close together, dense area. Here it's more rural.
Correct.
And so, those are differences. It doesn't make the problem different. It just makes potentially how we address it different.
Well, good. Well, thank you very much for that, Kathy.
At Wurtsmith, an advisory board of state, local, and Air Force leaders, along with residents, recently started meeting to not just hash out who to blame, but how to clean it up. Okay. That includes a $3 million treatment plant that already is sucking PFAS out of some of the groundwater. But residents complain the Air Force and the state aren't doing enough.
Now this is still going on. Nothing's being accomplished. Yeah. I mean, it's been 3 or 4 years we've been discussing this? I ain't seen nothing done.
Just like with the Wolverine contamination, the state still hasn't found how far Wurtsmith's PFAS has spread.
We were trying to figure out where's the end of this thing.
There's even debate still about who's to blame for what at Wurtsmith.
As far as the foam is concerned, as of right now, the Air Force doesn't see an applicable law that applies to that foam or to that surface water.
The DEQ recently cited the Air Force for not moving quickly enough to install a second treatment plant.
We are working hard at this to do our best. We're, in the community, and I know it's not quick answers and easy answers, but we are passionately working at this. I can guarantee you that.
Who sign in and leave their email address?
Here in Kent County, the PFAS crisis is pushing Plainfield Township toward a $25 million plan to extend city water into areas with contaminated wells. So far, Wolverine has not agreed to help with that.